Well, hello there. I'm Christy Cunningham, welcoming the absolutely beautiful Melissa here to inspire and encourage you, share a little bit about her journey and story. And so we want us followers to see and hear from you today. So tell me a little bit about yourself so all of our followers can hear. And then at the end, of course, we will give them all your information as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute joy to be with you and spend time with you and all of your followers. So, I am a single mom. I have four children. I have an 18-year-old who's going to be going off to college, a 14-year-old, a 9, and a 7-year-old. And through my process of momhood and being in careers, having my own business, being in health and wellness, every journey and everything that I have done has led me to where I am today. So I'm grateful for having all of my life experiences. But I've just discovered that the most important part of life for myself and for anybody that, chooses to have that freedom within is working on myself and that inner peace. And it has changed my life. It's taken me a while, just like everybody's on their own journey of experiences. I would say for me, for sure, it's been the past 5 years that I have been on this constant journey of this inner peace and inner well-being, and I wouldn't trade it for the world anymore.
Isn't that the truth? I so agree with you. It's so important because that's where the growth comes from, right?
It is. I mean, there's so much focus nowadays, and I feel like in society, right, to always keep up with everyone else and to have such the impression or the importance on material things, and they're great, right? They're amazing. But when we attach to them, that's where we run into our problems because we're so attached to things rather than remembering ourselves and to care for ourselves and our inner well-being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. So, a little bit about you because I always see that you have the best attitude and always offering such incredible advice and empowering, inspiring women today in all arenas. What would you say the biggest thing that you had overcome and why you like to share it with others?
I would say for me, the biggest life experience that I've had, again, because that's all it is. That's all this life is experiences. And I never ever look at anything as a failure. Years ago, I might have labeled my experiences as I failed. I've been divorced twice, right? Married twice, and oh, I've had a failed marriage. I don't look at anything like that anymore. It's an experience, right? That has in some way brought me to where I am. And 5 years ago, I was going through my second divorce and single mom, trying to have a career and take care of my children. And I realized there that through every relationship that I had gotten into after my divorce, I had been in an on-off relationship, and that really has been the biggest evolution for me because every time something happened in that relationship or in my life after that 5 year period that I'm talking about back in 2019, I just kept going within and saying, why do I allow this? Why do I allow someone to treat me this way? Or what is it that happened with me? I had for years, even in my first marriage, gone through counseling or traditional counseling with a therapist. And for me personally, it didn't work well because I always felt I was rehashing things that were from the past that I could never change. And I dwelled so much on it, but it was robbing me of my present, right? The
Right,
moment that I'm at, and I can't change anything that's happened.
right,
So I just kept finding different leaders, spending thousands of dollars with this one and that one, whether it was a hypnotherapist or something that I was reading and got into and found a practitioner in that particular modality, all alternative healing. Reiki and yoga, and where I'm at right now is I've been on this journey of yoga, which is union with yourself.
right.
And it has just anything that happens in life, right? We cannot control it. And that's the realization that I have had over the years is I can't control if a family member passes away or if somebody chooses not to talk to me or a relationship ends, right? We can do our best to try and prevent it. But at the end of the day, we can't control it, right? The only thing that we can control is our response to things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So with all of this work and all of this growth that I've done, when things happen, there is a sense of calm. You know, the thoughts still come up when we have brains. We're human, but
Right.
when the thoughts come up, I can quiet them, and I want to get to that point where I almost have none of those thoughts that come up. I'm not there yet, but that's again part of my journey, right, through my life is to get to that point.
Absolutely. Mindset and overcoming through it all. And again, all of it, like, you as a mom of four to be able to be that example and that shining light to your children for them to see and experience that themselves.
Right. I have an 18-year-old right now, and she's looking at going to college. She will be in the fall. And as much as I would love for her to find, my path and that freedom within, there are still times that we get caught up with the teenage situations, the friends, society, all of those influences. And I work really hard at not impressing all of my, how I live. She sees it, but I feel like she also has to go through her own experiences in life. I can't tell her, just like none of us want to be told what to do, how to do it.
Right.
You have to, that's how a lot of us evolve, right? Is through our own experiences. So I do let her do that. But a lot of times, if we're going through like a crisis, right, I'm the first one that she calls. And that's when I know that there's been an impact on the things that I've worked through in my life. But I would never impress that on anyone. Like, you have to do it this way. I just know when you let go of things, right, you can create that inner peace within.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I would love to say to tell show our viewers how you've overcome things and how you walked out with such grace because of your experiences. And what would you say your best advice would be to somebody like yourself? None of us are perfect, and we've all gone through trials, but through our business and our personal growth and journey, what would you share with them? Was it your biggest thing that you had to overcome? Would you say that was a lot of it is mindset and self-care?
It's that enoughness, right? We all struggle with it is the comparison. I have heard this quote and it resonates with me all the time. It is the biggest thief of joy when you're comparing your body, how somebody else lives, whether it's the house or their lifestyle. And I have seen so many wealthy people and wealthy people that are very happy, but so many that aren't, right? Money is not everything. The material world is not everything. And if it was, right, celebrities, we know celebrities that are not alive, right? Because they struggled so much with it's not enough, it's never enough. It's the hustle and the bustle, right? And
Right.
not appreciating like the moment. And where I've gotten to, it's just, I've always had that desire, that thirst for more information, more on the psychology side, right? The well being. But when something happens, like, why did I choose this response? Why did I allow this to happen? And I just kept looking at different schools of thought and researching. And it really comes back to like that feeling inside of not enough, right? And I always now center myself to say, and a lot of the people that I follow, my leaders, the spiritual leaders in the spiritual world will say, the universe has been here for billions of years, right? Like the earth, like we have scientific evidence that says it's been here for billions of years. We only spend about 70, 80, 90 years, maybe 100 if we're lucky, on a planet that's been here billions of years. So if what I'm going through right now, like, is it that important, right? What I'm going through right now, does it really matter? in the small finite amount of time that we're here on this earth. Like, what is there not to be joyful about? I understand, people, like I said to you before, we have these things that happen and we don't choose them all the time, right? I don't like to see my kids hurt or a family member pass away, right? But the reality is none of us are immortal, right? At some point we all do die. So every morning when I wake up, I just remind myself of the ability to be joyful, to choose that rather than, oh, I woke up with a headache or I woke up with an ache and pain. But what about all of the other parts of our body that are functioning that we're not even focusing on,
Right.
right? That are operating wonderfully. Or if we feel a certain way, we also have the ability to change it, right? We learned how to
Absolutely.
ride a bike, we learned how to drive a car. So all of those negative thoughts are the ones that aren't serving us, right? Those are habits. And so we can create a new habit. Just takes
Absolutely.
time
Yes, it just takes time. We're
and
all
grace.
evolving, yes, and working on ourselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we can all take your advice and run with that each and every day, put a beautiful smile. I noticed that like the other day, if you just smile at someone,
Mhm.
it just radiates back. And I know that everything that I see you do in all of your work, there's always such a beautiful smile just radiating from you. And that's what our hope should be every day, is to let that light shine, because there is others that are hurting that we can actually help bring light to them in their day.
Yeah, and there's not at this point, from what I've seen, there's just not enough. Like there's never enough. We just talked about not being enough, but even not enough resources out there for people. I know when I was looking for my 18-year-old to have a therapist, there's a waiting list of months and months, and it's the things that really matter that would change people's lives, whether it is talk therapy, right? Someone, or somebody on the non-traditional side, which is what I practice, or that's discovered yoga, right? And coming into your space. But that's where I was like, okay, it's going to be a wait of 6, 8 months for my daughter or for me, then I'm going to go do something myself and I'm going to go figure out, because the internet is essentially free. You just pay your provider, right? But there's so much information that's out there, or free material at the library, right? You don't have to go to a bookstore and buy a book. It's just broadening your mindset of all of these different resources that are out there for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything else that you would love to share or impart a word to our viewers?
What I had said earlier, I think is really important for people to think about is if we're only here just such a limited amount of time, the things that sometimes we spend our days or our moments, stressing over, when you think about it and get down to that granular level, like we're only here such a small amount of time. Like, let's be joyful and look at the things in our lives that we can be joyful about. And maybe we don't need all of those material things. Maybe we just need to live more simply, right? And joyfully. And when I before I take a phone call or before I get out of my car, I'm very like thoughtful about it. I'll say, okay, I've planet that's been here for billions of years. We're tiny specks of dust, right? When you really get to it, when you go like really global, like, okay, we're really important to ourselves, we're important to our family, but I had put a post up about this on my Facebook, right? When you're looking at your city or town, it's like you're less important. You don't really, not that you don't matter, but it's like the things that we make such big deals about in our day, right? When you just keep getting globally, like if we left, like even at work, right? We're replaceable, right? Do we need to stress about this or that? And if everybody had their way of having things done, like Christy, if you wanted your way, a certain way of how somebody should behave or how something should go, that means I don't get my way, right? So it's like, who's to tell? Like, why should I expect you to behave a certain way, right?
Mhm.
That's my way. So we have, none of us are alike. So the more that we just continue to remind ourselves of that, like I said, it's creating those new habits. I really feel like the more joyful we can all become. And it starts with one person. And like you said before too, like one smile to a stranger. You don't know what they're going through. We never do. Everybody has a story.
Very true, very true. And I learned that quite a few years ago where I did compliment somebody in a coffee store because you could tell that she was just really down, and the tears just started to flow, and she just said, "Thank you. I just needed that because I had such a horrible morning." So I didn't know what she went through, but it just the simple things like that can change someone's day.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even need to, most of the time, you don't even need to go into it with them, right? Like
Absolutely.
everybody has, and I feel like sometimes we do in society try to say, well, you went through this, but I went through that, comparing.
Again, yes, the comparison by sharing
And
your
it's like
story.
it's an experience. We've all had them. Whether
Every
you label them trauma, I label them experiences, and I've grown from them. Rather than one person that I follow will say, I can choose the path of being wise with my experience, or I can choose the path of being wounded and being a victim, right? I'm not going to be a victim, right? I'm going to be the wise one, and that is my life path, is to just help people realize that you can choose at any point in time.
Absolutely. And it's always the path ahead. Yes, never to be. I love the way you phrase that. That is
Right.
very, very, very wise. Okay,
Thank you.
so my dear. So thank you again. And
Thank you for having me.
absolutely. I think us women here at New You Women just always are looking for empowering and powerful women that have gone before us, that are in and have their own businesses as well. So sometimes we just need a pick me up and an encouragement for the day. So thank you for being a part of our beautiful Empowering Women group. And tell us if they would like to find you, where they can find you uh, if you would like to share that with them as well.
Absolutely. I am on social media under Melissa Lynn, both on Facebook and Instagram, Melissa Lynn, Find Freedom Within, and also TikTok as well. So I have all of my links on all of those various sites.
Oh, perfect. Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much. Look forward to connecting with you again and sharing more wisdom and inspiration at another time.
I look forward to it. Thank you to you. You're a beautiful soul, and to all of your viewers and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you. Truly an honor. Thanks for sharing your moment with us.
Same here.
Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.